embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sims popping it like oxygen when boxes wet. Focus on the mental, never lose like smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose smooth on the move, but it's simple. Never give up if we want it, then maybe we just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that payment is never the
In a stolen base. No, a double. I'm sorry. Second and third now for the Sox. 1 out. Top of the 7th. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm talking baseball to start us off. The game's on over here. It's postseason, baby. But this is Divots and
Golf
Pivots.
season's over.
We are a golf show. We do pivot a lot, but so I had to start with that because it just happened as the song ended. I'm Andrew LeDuc, aka Mr. Mallard. With me, as always, is Bud Copeland, and we are brought to you, as always, by Acorn Hills. Get on over to acornhillsco.com. Use TBFY15 to get your 15% discount on your purchase over there. So get on over there. They're always coming out with new stuff a few times a year, new drops, and always, like we say, they're supporting the environment. They're a good crew of people doing the right things for the right reason. So get on over to acornhills.com. Bud, there's a lot we're going to get into.
Yeah, we're all right. Before we go any further, you brought up acornhillsco.com.
Yes,
TBFY15 for 15% off. Tell them Bud sent you. I'm rocking. What am I, 12? What am I, a 12-year-old girl in the 80s? 80s? Maybe 80s.
Well,
yeah. I had 2 big sisters in the 80s, so that's why I guess that language is around.
Got
the Be Brave hoodie on. I just got my Founders Club package from Nate. Shout out Nate Wren. If you joined the Founders Club like me, it was a dope initial package. You got the customized Acorn Hills limited edition, golf towel with the magnet, that kind of caddy towel. There's a yardage book, scorecard, leather.
Sweet.
I think it says it's like coconut leather or some shit. I don't know what the hell they're doing. But and then t-shirt, the note from him. So the Founders Club, if you're not familiar with it, it's a new drop. It's a new subscription service. It's kind of like if your significant other has FabFitFun, or if you see FabFitFun every 3 months on your credit card statement, it's like kind of like that for dudes. I mean, it's not, these services have been around before, but none like this, where you're going to get the quality of stuff with the frequency and have the positive impact on the environment. All right. How do you get the positivity out of the way? Because where do you want to start, sir?
Well, that's good positivity right there, because the Red Sox just hit a 2-run single and now have the lead 2-1 over the Yankees in the top of the 7th.
Let's go.
First, 1 out. So we got that positivity rolling. You brought it with us with the Acorn Hills positivity.
So real quick on that, Coop, the intern is 5, so this is her first real postseason that she can kind of remember. And my wife comes around the corner and says, "Now there's a very important cheer that we're gonna have to teach you." And I was like, "Oh yeah," I was like, "She knows it," because we were on Friday or on Saturday for my dogs. We were saying, "Let's go Georgia," and I was like, "So let's go Red Sox." And my wife goes, "That's not the one that I'm talking about." I was like, "Wait," I was like, "We're not teaching her that yet." I was like, "Listen, I know that she's still early, but there you go. A lot of positivity here throughout New England. Hopefully some of that positivity will carry on through until the TGL this fall, when Keegan and Rory will be reunited as one in the Boston Common Frogs. I honestly have been thinking about this. I've texted you several times where I stand, and I've ebbed and flowed, and there's more to it than just this golf. I think what we're going to talk about today, I'm gonna be all over the place. By the way, there's a live fire next to me. If you just heard that pop, I'm sitting outside.
That sounded nice.
Yeah, the fire pit's right next to me, so you might see the smoke blowing through. That's why my eyes are bloodshot. And so I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think that this was it was one of the great Ryder Cups. And when I've said that out loud to other people, they've given me these weird looks. And so I'm curious. We don't have to go there. Was it great? Was it not great? What makes a great Ryder Cup? But I'm ready when you are, because after this, I'm going to take a little hiatus from the show. You're going to focus on football. We'll be back with a year-end recap as usual, and then we'll line up for a not Kapalua beginning to the year. I mean, I guess that's some PGA Tour. And if you are interested, if there's any good golf going on this weekend, don't sleep on the Korn Ferry Tour finals. Their tour championships going on. These are the guys that are going to get promoted to the PGA Tour, et cetera, et cetera. But as I've been saying for the last few years, the real star of this weekend is going to be the Pete Dye course at French Lick. It is in phenomenal condition. And I'll say, let's just start right there. I think that the Pete Dye course at French Lick is going to be set up more difficult than the Ryder Cup course was set up. What say you, Andrew?
Interesting. Well, I don't know much about the Pete Dye course at French Lick, but I will say the Ryder Cup was. I wish the rough was more penalizing, like Bethpage usually is. That's where. Look, we still saw like a decent amount of pars instead of birdies, but we saw a lot of birdies. Like, and I forget who it was that said if this was a normal PGA Tour week, the winner would be like 30 under whatever. Like, that's too much. It wouldn't have been that. Let's be honest. I don't think it would have been one of those weeks, but it would have been probably better than the 5, 6, 7, 8 under that we're used to seeing the winner be at Bethpage. So I do wish for how pristine the course looked, especially given like the borderline drought we've been in up here in the Northeast and New York, just right below there. The course looked great. I wish the rough was more, because selfishly, the Europeans were in the rough all fucking weekend. But they were able to bail each other out, and I guess we can start there, because I think that was the key. I want to know what we can do to be better at foursomes, because the Europeans just excelled at bailing each other out. They just each stepped up when someone made a mistake. They were able to solve each other's problems, and I don't know how to get better at that. How do you teach that? How do you just do that? I feel like it just takes years.
You say it, because there's a couple things that you threw out there. First of all, the course setup. Yeah, I saw Shane Bacon, going apoplectic, being like, this was a joke. This was a disgrace. I've heard the hyperbolic overreactions to it. And my only kind of counter to that, I see the point. I see where it's like, we as the fans, part of the fun for us isn't just seeing the best go mano a mano, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't want to see, we don't want to see just, that's not the bare minimum anymore, just to get them together. Now we want to see them hurt and suffer a little bit while they're, because that's the whole point of professional golf, or at least that's what makes it the most accessible, is the fact that we look at these guys. And I've seen a quote floating around every once in a while: Joe shit the ragman's going to hit a 6-iron, going to hit it good. Like, there ain't no way you or I go in the box against Crochet at 150 at bats. Neither one of us are touching a pitch, period.
Never,
and that we're not, let alone hitting like a dinger. So
I could hold a bunt out there and I'd still miss.
You'd end up ricocheting it in your teeth, I guarantee you. I'm living proof. So when it comes to that, I see the point, but then I also kind of counter with, the course was set up just like that for both teams. And now the intention was, Keegan said it, like, he's like, I wish I would have set it up differently, knowing what we know now. The intent was because, again, by the numbers are traditionally, the United States usually is a little longer off the tee, and our wedge game is usually a little bit better. The Europeans usually have better mid to long irons, and they're scramblers, which also makes them excellent. So to answer your other question, that's why they're so excellent at alternate shot, is because you put people on alternate shot with wedges in their hands, and then like they are literally just playing lawn darts out there, which doesn't bother me. I will say this. That aspect of it did not bother me, because in my mind, I'm going, all right, he threw it 6 feet. Let's see if the other guy can throw it 4 feet. Oh, he threw it, and then when somebody did hit it 30 feet off, and then our team would hit it 12 feet, we're going, fuck yeah, we got a chance. Then Fitzpatrick would roll in a 30-footer. I kind of pushed back on the
balances out a little bit.
I think we did miss it. I mean, the intent was there. Let's keep the rough low so that our guys who are, longer and spray, we got to get rid of that mentality too, where these Europeans, a lot of these guys just live over here full time. They've grown up playing American courses. So, I mean, even Rory said in the pre-presser, America is the greatest place on planet Earth. Like, there's nowhere else you'd rather go for, to chase your dreams, to be all these things. So let me finish up on this course real quick. So the course setup, that is a personal distinction, and anybody who wants to try to pat me on the head and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, no, they both had to say it's kind of like the Valhalla thing with the PGA of America. I get that it's not fancy or sexy, but to say that like maybe there should be an asterisk next to that PGA because it was an easier course, no, just like there should be no asterisk next to this Ryder Cup because Bethpage was set up, and it was set up, and then the elements didn't help on top of that. So, if to the guys who that really, really is their bag, they're really kind of techie in that. I get you. I mean, I understand it. It would be sexy if that was 4, 5, 6 inch penal rough where you're not, no matter, even if you are 120 out, the rough is so thick that you're probably going to have to lay up. I would have loved to see that personally, but whatever. The course was what it was. I hope that I hope they take another look at Bethpage in the. I mean, it's not going to. The Ryder Cup's never going to return there. They just don't. They don't return. But I hope the Bethpage gets to dust itself off before it has to host another major. You go ahead.
The crowd turned. I would say the crowd turned out of that. No, all I was going to say is that like the my main takeaway there is that like the rough thought was only an afterthought. Like you said, not once watching it during the weekend was I thinking, gosh, we're losing because like, oh, he should be penalized more because he's in the rough. Like, I never once had that feeling or thought while watching. It was much more of an afterthought as I was, analyzing.
No, but it's pertinent nonetheless because this is the beauty of divots and pivots where Andrew fell ass backwards into you're like the everyman. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't immediately apparent to you, but then in the end, looking back, you're like, huh? And it was intentional from the US side. Let's keep this rough short so our guys can, it'll be, the problem is, I mean, everybody's hitting it 310, 320. So yeah, it did turn into a pitch and putt. I get it that you don't want that out of a Ryder Cup, but I do think that the Ryder Cup is more about the competition between the humans than it is the course. So to that end, I would maybe say, no, kudos to the PGA of America, and Keegan did it for strategy reasons, but kudos to them for setting it up and giving us a show, a birdie fest. There's a lot of folks out there who would probably say, fuck yeah, I want to see them just sitting there birdie on top of birdie on top of birdie. And then us golf purists who are used to a major setup where genuinely the course is the star and we're going to crown a champion, whichever one of you monsters can just be standing at the end of it. This is about the humans against one another. And whenever you're ready, we can pivot to that human aspect of this whole Ryder Cup deal. What else you got? We talked about the course so far. So the course, there you have it.
No, I'm down pivoting to the human aspect. And like I already just kind of briefly said, first shout out has to go to the crowd at Bethpage because the crowd was there. The crowd showed up in masses. We can get to
now let's get to it now. We have over apologized for the last 10,
I know this
years.
This was on your mind and you were fuming.
There's become this thing where we have to be apologetic. We have to always be self-loathing. For some reason, the idea of American exceptionalism took a backseat for so long that in moments like this, so many people have rushed to the forefront to be like, I apologize on behalf of the American fans. Pause. Don't apologize on my behalf. Don't apologize on the behalf of the tens, like you said, the tens and tens and tens of thousands of people who showed up, showed out the right way, and did their thing. Let's talk about the Rory incident for a minute.
Sure.
I'm going to say within 10 years, that will not be mentioned when they start talking about this. They will talk about the ass whipping the first 3 days. It'll be a footnote for a little while, but I kind of loved, and right before we came on, I was finally waiting to see, because I saw Tom Watson go out there and be like, on behalf of the America, we can do better. Fuck off, dude. The nasty ass motherfuckers, pardon my language, the nasty people who threw drinks and epithets, whatever, and slurs and all. Yes, those were probably isolated people who, when you're 100% stage, and it gets blown out of proportion. I'm going to say that again. It gets blown out of proportion. And here's where Paul Azinger kind of saved the day. Rory McIlroy sorry, dude. My understanding goes so far, but Zinger nailed it when at the press conference. You're allowed to say, you throw a drink at my wife, you're lucky I didn't come over there and put my fucking putter up your ass. That's fine. That's fine.
That makes perfect sense. That is
here's where he can pound sand, and everyone, Justin Rose and Tommy's fine. I don't know why Tommy's catching strays. Tommy was just in the background, but all of those people with their nose in the air. Rory lost the credibility when he turned around and started saying, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Say what you want. You can say what you want about, like, he shouldn't have to endure that. You're right. He shouldn't have to endure that. Two things can be true at the same time.
But they knew it was coming.
Yeah, you see it in sport. You see it in sports all the time. LeBron James has got to be the best at this, because I got to say, in the modern era, I don't know if anybody's taken more direct abuse than that man for literally no reason.
And he does take it, and you don't often hear him giving it back.
And even when he does finally turn around and you catch it on social media, usually he's saying to a security guard, "That's enough out of that person." You know what? Right. And that's what Rory did. They said, "Hey, come get the cops." I don't blame those grown ass men for tempers flaring. Like when Shane wanted to go after the guy. Cool. Sure. Shane didn't also come out and be like, "Well, he did a little bit. This is ridiculous." So to the Europeans or anybody who wants to apologize on my behalf or on anybody else's behalf, Go
Right.
like, I don't know, man. Watch a good movie. Maybe take a walk. Find other
Yeah.
ways to channel your energy, because you can't spend all your time apologizing for people that you don't know. You had no control over it, just because you think it makes you look like a good person. It kind of makes you look like a sap, if you ask me.
Well,
I don't
yeah.
think it needs to be celebrated. I don't think it needs to be defended. I
No.
genuinely think Rory, when they said, because when he was saying this is unacceptable, this shouldn't be the standard, nobody was arguing that that should be the standard.
Correct.
Nobody was arguing that that should be acceptable. Don't put a straw man argument up there, because you are upset. You're allowed to be upset,
Yeah.
but
And then
that
generalize
aspect of
the
it,
entire American,
yeah,
like
go
the
go find.
U.S. fan
So
base.
the PGA, the CEO or the president of the PGA of America out there
Mhm.
today was going, yeah, no, I didn't really hear any of it myself, which he's probably telling the truth. He was probably busy and not out
Yeah.
there with the fans. So that's
Exactly.
true. Even, you heard about it through the TV like everybody else. That's fine. But he's
Right.
like, oh, I didn't hear any of that myself. And when he's like, I bet Rory understands. We get the same thing when we're in Rome or we're in Paris or
Also true.
yeah. So, and you know what? Now the microscope is genuinely going to be on, because now we're at the point where every
Mhm.
human being has got that smartphone genuinely 24/7. So if any of the European fans decide that they want to throw a jab at Scotty or any of our guys for whatever reason, maybe they go after Justin for his mouth over the years. Good luck,
Or
because
his freaking
the
ear
whole
pulls.
the holier than thou nonsense. You want to, you want to get pissed off about things, that's fine. And this is what pisses me off, right? Like I get mad that
Right.
other people get mad. Speaking of getting mad, let's go back to
Well,
the other moment of decorum. The Justin Rose, the borderline brawl on Saturday, which God, I was
mhm.
hoping somebody was gonna swing. Do you remember what happened? Did you see it, or were
So
you like busy being a family man?
I missed it live because what was I doing on Saturday? Oh, I was at soccer. We had a soccer game on Saturday, so I actually missed it live, unfortunately. So you're gonna have to fill me in. But
Yes.
real fast,
Go
just
ahead.
to circle back on Rory to round that, because
Please, please. I didn't even give you a chance to give your
I know
Rory.
you just
I've been sitting on that for
because my biggest thing that I had an issue with the way he handled it was more so something you didn't even mention about. Whenever he sat there and knelt down and waited for the crowd, waited till the end of the timer on his putt because the crowd was being too loud, like that to me was like what do you expect to happen there, Rory? Like, do you expect the crowd to go, "Oh, sorry guys, sorry, let the guy has his hands up, let me stop now," or do you like all you're doing is giving them more time to razz you and
uh,
give you shit like that? I'm like,
I'm gonna
that
stick
does
with my
nothing. It's useless. You look like a child.
I'm gonna stick with my theme of two things can be true at the same time. You're right. I don't like that look. I don't like the childish thing. The other side of that is, if I was in the crowd and somebody next to me was the one doing the heckling or wouldn't shut up so these guys can hit their shots, I probably would be the person like, dude, shut up. Or I'd like nut check you.
Well,
And
sure.
then
In every other situation, yes, but in
correct.
that situation, knowing why Rory was doing it, I have no problem with anybody then continuing to go because it came right after that situation. It was so you knew it
Exactly.
was in response.
You
So
get what you give, man. If you wanted to, if you once you engage, it's kind of like when you're pleading the fifth. If you've never seen,
mhm.
first of all, Jessica Chastain, just top tier. One of her best performances was in a movie called Miss Sloane. She plays a lobbyist,
Okay,
and once she gets in front of the judge or whatever, her lawyer beforehand is like, as long as you keep pleading the fifth, they can't really do anything to you. Like the
right,
senators are going to keep asking you questions. You just plead the fifth. Because the minute you answer any question, if you engage at all, at that point you surrender your Fifth Amendment rights. And I don't know if this is true or
exactly.
not, lawyers. And he's like, and they can do anything. To me, the same kind of thing happens. If you keep your eyes forward and simply like wave this people over and say, like, listen, they're saying things that are beyond the like I'll
Right,
trust the people on the ground, those our fellow golf journos, the big time Jays who are out there going, dude, I'm hearing some stuff that's not okay. I
sure.
believe that. It's how it all unfolded. And again, like what happened was Rory decided to get off his horse, and then he got down in the mud with the pigs, and then he got
Right,
mad for getting muddy. And it's like,
exactly.
oh, it's very hard
Yeah,
to have any kind of the when the drink got thrown, that is where, and I think that's kind of the
agreed.
ultimate thing where it's just family. Who are you? And I say this
Yeah,
to
that
anybody, the
I'm
person who
not
threw that
cool with
drink.
that happening.
Now it was probably some over self-served bro with a Zen in the
Mhm.
upper decky thinking he was going to do something funny for the gram,
Right.
and he doesn't
Well,
have a
they were
wife yet.
videotaping it. Did you see the video? Yeah, like, so like
You don't, and these guys probably don't have wives or kids or anything depending
exactly.
on them, because you and I, for our first thought is like, you did what? I mean, we have
Like,
daughters, we have wives.
My first thought is I would have been all right if Rory went over and slapped him across the face.
100%.
If Will Smithed him, you know, I would have been like,
100%.
you know what, you deserve that, buddy. Like, let's move on.
So, all right, let's move on. Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, Bryson DeChambeau. All right, so here's what happens. This is like a whole 15 or whatever, and the beatdown had been going. The J Train and Tommy, you know, Fleetwood Mac or Fleetwood Rose, whatever the hell they're calling that one. Fleetwood Mac was him and Rory.
Right.
They were just beating that ass. We were starting to show a little bit of signs of life, a little bit of fight. Now, here's what happened. Apparently, Bryson and Justin Rose both had putts. From what Smiley Kaufman, he was right there. Smiley Kaufman was like, listen, I play golf. I could clearly see that, you know, and he goes, I think it was not obvious. He goes, but Justin was away. He goes, but if you're Bryson and you're in the moment, it was close enough that I could see. He goes, so whoever hit their shot, he goes, right at that same moment, Bryson and Justin Rose both start going into their routine. So that triggers Bryson's caddy to start going into his routine. And in doing so, he started just kind of drifting into Rose's line. And this is where Rose did do the moment of like, could I have been a little politer in the moment? Probably, which I'm not gonna lie, that's probably all you would get out of me in the moment too.
Right.
But apparently he said like, I'm away, right? Like I'm still away. Would you move? Like back off? Like, and apparently the way he said it was kind of like, okay. And even Smiley said it was a little chippy, a little much, but there wasn't too much pushback.
Emotions are high. I get it.
Right. So he makes that putt and, you know, and he's doing that. And so then while Bryson is lining up his and everything, or somebody else is putting, you see Bryson's caddy kind of like walking over, just saying like, because you can tell the body language, like, hey, I want to clear the air real quick, what that was all about.
Right.
What Smiley said, it looked like it was a quick exchange of like, there wasn't like a my bad, man. It was like, I thought we were away. Like that kind of like, I know you just barked at me, but I wanted you to know, like, I wasn't trying to be a dick. I thought we were away. And apparently Rose just kind of went, you know, gave him a little like, okay, you know, like whatever. Yeah. But then Bryson makes his putt and the adrenaline kicks in. And he just, I mean, and I don't blame him. Like he just starts, you're like, you don't talk to my guy. Like, and this is where we're all like, yes, this is what we kind of want to see. My favorite part is where Tommy Fleetwood's kind of laughing like, Bryson, are you serious right now? And Bryson looks at him, and that's when I was like, please hit Tommy Fleetwood. I don't wish violence upon any man. But
especially
in that
not Tommy Fleetwood. Like,
especially not like that poor guy. And that's kind of why Tommy's like laughing, like, is this really happening right now?
Right.
But I'll say this for everybody out there being like, that was gross. No, was it? First of all, you don't play sports. Like that was sports right there.
Yeah, that happens in every sport.
That's part of the game.
That happens in chess. Like people, like shit happens.
Ted Scott, the tall, thin Christian man, was sitting there and he was getting in the face of Eduardo or Francesco Molinari.
Right.
And then they posted on social media and he's like, we're boys. Like that was us on the. You talk about like, you know, basketball players, football players, they'll throw down in the heat of battle. Hockey players are notorious for it. So to me, I thought that was kind of cool to see the tempers. That's how much it means. That's how frustrated the Americans were. I do think that when you're that calm and that like, bro, what's the big deal? It is easy to say that with that kind of lead. And if I had that kind of lead, that's what you do. You do the whole passive aggressive, like what? Hey, we're just playing golf here. So I think
you're not trying to give any emotional edge or opening to let them sneak back in like that. 100% makes sense on Rose.
And as pompous as I think he was, because I love Justin Rose. It's the British accent. I don't actually think he's pompous. No. Is passive is what I meant to say. Okay. Some of the retelling of it was afterwards about he was gracious to be like, could I have been more polite? Yeah, like that to me was all you need to say is like, yeah, of course I triggered the whole thing. I mean, he was nice not to be like, I didn't make Bryson go gorilla man on us, which is kind of what we all wanted. And here's the best part is like you see Scotty Scheffler kind of just waiting in the back, and he was walking up with Kevin Kisner, and all I could think to myself is like, yeah, that's who you want in that situation is Kiz. And then I thought to myself, who's entertaining who there is? Do you think Scotty might have pulled Kiz like aside, be like, hey, Cap, you know, whatever they call the vice captains, be like, hey, can you believe this bullshit? Or do you think it was Kevin trying to come over and like keep it light? Because I'll tell you what, all that negativity that we just went through in 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was. And I know I started the show off by being like, all we want to do is be apologetic. And really it's deeper than that. It's the idea of if it bleeds, it leads. What's the most controversial? What's the most divisive? And we're also in this era of hyperbole. So those two moments we're talking like it happened between the 15th hole green and the 16th fairway. They said by the time they got to the 16th green, it was all done.
Right.
That was one hole of golf. Rory, for all the hell that he had to endure from those couple dozen chuckleheads, and by the way, I am kind of minimizing that because of how much I think it's been hyperbolized and overblown, and saying that that's representative of everybody. Go to hell.
Right.
That was one day, that not even a whole day. That was one round. It was one match. It was one person. You take 3 steps back and you look at how the Americans, I think Sunday was one of the greatest Sundays in American golf that didn't end in a win. I think that was as close, because of how far fucking gone it was.
Before we go too far down the ending, because I want to get to the Sunday, because that's where it all happened.
Please.
The final. I want to get to the envelope, all that jazz, because that's
that's exactly where I was about to go.
But I don't want to go there yet because I feel like before we're gonna end up going down that rabbit hole and end up running out of time, because that's what's gonna happen.
We're still up 2-1 top of the 8th.
Yeah, no, I got it right here. I want to quickly touch on how impressed I was on the rookies.
Okay, let's go there. Sure.
And we do have to talk about the question of, would any substitutes for Colin Morikawa made a difference?
No.
Or like that's what we're gonna. But those are the things I want to discuss quickly before we go to the Sunday in the envelope, because those are gonna be the hot topic issues. Ben Griffin, Cam Young especially, came to fucking play. Now, obviously, Cam Young was the story. He was winning his matches, all that jazz. Ben Griffin didn't necessarily have the points to match Cam Young, but he had moments.
Doesn't matter. He had the presence in the moments. Yeah.
Yeah. He had 2 or 3 long putts that were big in the moment. He had the swagger and the attitude, like the aviators came through. Like he just had this
Benny Shades,
unique individualistic presence about him on the course, which was fantastic to see. It's what we wanted. The crowd loved him. Ben Griffin and Cam Young were. They didn't just meet the moment, they surpassed it and they owned it and they made it there. So I freaking loved the rookies in this completely. Obviously, Cam Young, you can't say enough about him. He was a star in the making. I would be curious to see it come another Ryder Cup if he gets in again, if he's able to carry that, or if a lot of this was on the back of it being his home state, like his home air, not even his home state, like his home county and all that. Like, was that a big driving force for this? Was this a Cam Young that we won't see again in a Ryder Cup? Like, I'll be curious to see down the road. That's a question for down the road. But right now, I want to live in the moment that Cam Young was a fucking rock star, and Ben Griffin is just an enigma that I don't think anybody saw coming.
Well, the Ben Griffin thing, he was teamed up with DeChambeau. I loved that because you give the rookie somebody where Ben's he's a little flashy, and I don't mean that. I mean, he's about as buttoned up as they come physically looking, but he is on the social media. He is a little more kind of the new age, new era. And sometimes you get to a Ryder Cup and you get a little reserved, like, whoa, this is, and I think you put him with Bryson and it came out. They lost, but they lost down, was it 1-up to Fleetwood and Rose, who
it was close,
was beating everybody. And the fact that so Fleetwood and Rose take down DeChambeau and Scheffler, 3-up. So this was a good showing for Griffin. And then he goes out there. Did he win? I want to say he won his Sunday Signals. Yeah, 1-up over Rasmus Højgaard. And Højgaard had him down after having a poor showing, his first day.
And that was after all was said and done too. The Ryder Cup had already been retained at that point.
Yeah, and you're playing for pride at that point.
Right. Which I think still says a lot. Like I'm happy Ben still won that.
And then, Cam Young, you can't say, I think we're going to see Patrick Cantlay has still got probably 2 or 3 more good, reliable Ryder Cups left in him. Maybe 2, maybe 3. He's in his 30s. So we're talking 4, 6 more years. So, but the game has shifted. We see, I wouldn't be shocked to see Justin Rose in 2 years at Adair Manor, because all he has to do is stay healthy enough to play, like we saw, 3 rounds of golf. Let him sit in the morning, and I think that was a lesson we should be taking.
And he's a killer. He's a killer. Justin Rose was. I knew what I was getting with McIlroy
on Saturday.
I knew what we were getting out of McIlroy and all that, and Shane Lowry, honestly. But going into it, Justin, and I know it's easy to say after the fact, but seriously, going into it, Justin Rose was the guy I was most scared of.
I knew he was going to get some. Now.
Oh, see, I knew he was going to get some matchups that were gonna be like borderline, that he was gonna end up winning, that I think U.S. fans as a whole would have thought that we would have won. Like they were going to chalk it up for wins for us, and I just had a feeling like he's there to fucking play.
So we're gonna see him again. And
Yes.
Tommy Fleetwood was the guy I was scared of, and he showed out 4-1. Like, let's go. But back to the rookies, Cam Young. Cam Young is going to be that guy for the next few years. We just saw him in his element, and I loved what he said. He goes, that Sunday, even though it didn't come out the way we wanted it to, when we were in the mix, and then it became a reality, like, oh my God, like we're doing this. He goes, I have never felt like that in my life. And you hear that. Keegan Bradley, the 2012 suitcase, the whole bit. So the rookies, I think our rookies were good. I think there's a bright future for them. And how do we fix the foursomes thing? I've seen a couple of creative suggestions. Originally because traditionally we're better in four balls, and slightly better in four balls, and way better in singles. Right. And the foursomes, I think it goes back to, in European traditionally, they just play shittier conditions a lot. And they even say that they play rain, wind, whatever they can do, because it's just shittier conditions over there a lot.
Scramble.
And so they always have to scramble. So that's going to be a positive. Something else I saw earlier, which Justin Rose is a perfect example, and maybe it's not an age thing, but it's a style thing. It's kind of like when they said Tiger Woods, how can you sit Tiger Woods, or Scotty Scheffler, how can you sit world number one? Well, maybe foursomes. Maybe foursomes isn't their thing. Maybe it's like, you know what, you are world number one. And four ball, you can go out there with the mentality of, I'm just gonna go make as many birdies as I can. Period.
Right. You can almost ignore your partner.
You can ignore your partner and just say, yeah, I'm gonna go get 15 birdies. Watch me. You can do that. And then singles is again. So it's on. That's why they say if we can be within 3 or 4 or 5. Now it's like the reality is gonna be if we're within 5 going into Sunday, Americans are gonna be like, we got a shot at this. That comeback.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's why earlier when I said this is going to go down, in my opinion, or it should go down as one of the greatest Ryder Cups, because the 15-13 really should be 14.5, 13.5. We'll get into that later. Should have been a 14-14 tie.
Which either way, in all those scenarios, we still lost.
I get it.
Doesn't
but
change
anything. But when because people are out there, the hardos will be like, "There's no, who gives a shit? We lost." You mean to tell me you would have rather lost like 19-9? Which is one of the possibilities that we were going into Sunday, and it's like early on we're down in 5 of these 7 matches. This could go real ugly, and then it's embarrassing.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I at one point on Saturday was texting you, and I was in my rage.
Everybody's in their feels.
And I was saying how, no, I want them to get their asses kicked now. I want them to get blown out because I want them to learn a lesson. But I will say I came around on that because the excitement that I felt with that Sunday comeback, I realized, screw that, because you know what? We lost, and it sucks that we lost. But that was a version of golf that we don't get at all throughout the season. And that was just so exciting and fun and thrilling that I was standing, I was pacing, I was all of that. It was like I was watching the Super Bowl. It's like I was watching playoff hockey. It was you don't get that in golf, and we got that,
and you sure as shit weren't expecting it in the morning. Nobody was expecting that.
No, I wasn't.
Everybody thought this was gonna be racked up.
It happened at the perfect time because the Patriots game had just finished. They just blew out the Panthers, so we were all high on that. And then all of a sudden, we flip it over to the Ryder Cup, and shit, we're right in this. And dreams are starting to, be a potential reality. And so it's like we was riding this one high all afternoon. That I was like, it was almost like the perfect Sunday of sports.
I gotta say, the best analogy, and let's. I mean, how apropos. We're in New England. And Keegan, they said, what's your message? What was your message to your guys? He said, all I told him about was 28-3. I was at that Super Bowl.
Right. Exactly.
And then in the middle of the day, my wife, because all she heard me was bitching. So it was the middle of the afternoon. We were about to go to a friend's birthday party. It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And she goes, so is it over? And I was like, not really. I was like, and she goes, well, how not over is it? And I go, speaking of the 28-3 Super Bowl, I go, at this point, and I can't remember exactly when it was, but this is when I started involving her. I go, at this point, we just got the ball back, but we still need two touchdowns and the 2-point conversions.
Right.
And she's like,
but you felt the momentum switch already.
Right. I was like, we're beyond the strip sack. We're marching down the field. It's like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, when Cam Young sank his putt, I go, honey, we just converted the first 2-point conversion. She goes, what do you mean? We're down a tutty? And I was like, we're down a tutty. And then
See, and that's what it was. Once we got past those like first 4 or 5 matches, that's when I wasn't letting myself feel it until
I didn't either.
that. And then I was like, shit, this is a real fucking possibility.
And then when who was down? Oh, and then when Bryson clawed his way back on Fitzpatrick,
that was
5 down, and he claws his way back.
That Bryson one's going to go down as one of the best ties in Ryder Cup history.
100%.
That was amazing.
Even if, like you said, even if that was really a loss for us because we needed all the wins,
right? We couldn't even give up half
such a noble. That was one of the. So this Ryder Cup had so many of those highlights, and when JT makes that putt, I'm like, we're there, dude. Like I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, this could genuinely turn into one of the greatest comebacks. And when it didn't,
it hurt.
It sucks. But when people say and when people so you think about that Sunday and how wonderful that was, does it make up for how shitty Friday and Saturday was? Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Because let me ask you this. What if Shane Lowry misses that putt? And then
sure, which was a possibility. We saw them miss a lot of short putts,
especially on Sunday when the fatigue set in and you could just see it wearing on them. And our guys were just chipping away.
Right,
That's the American game. We have to expect to win. We have to split the foursomes, and we have to win at least one of the 4 balls.
Right.
So like we have to, we just can't lose all 4 fucking sessions.
Exactly.
If we can go 3-1 in those sessions and at least not get blown out or zeroed out or skunked.
Yeah.
We're such strong talent wise. When people say what's wrong with Team USA, I don't know. Also, it wasn't Keegan's fault. The captain,
not Keegan's fault. I know we tried to lay on the sword and talk about, like you said, how he would have changed the setup and what this thing would have done differently. It's his job to do that. But I do not at any point look at this as Keegan's fault.
No, one of the biggest mistakes he made though was sending out whatever that duo was that we were all like, what the fuck? Was it Morikawa English 2 days in a row?
2 days in a row.
Everybody's got
English.
And then the data comes out. Yeah.
Scheduled loss. He knew it. He lined them up with matchups that he knew they were going to lose. And at that point, like, I know he couldn't do anything about English. Like, I know he couldn't do anything about Harris because Harris earned his way in there on points and top 6, whatever.
Yeah, that was the only questionable.
But if that's your plan for Colin, why have him on the team? Like, why not take a shot on a Brooks? Why not take a shot on a Spieth? Why not take a shot on a Reed further down?
Because we saw what happened when we went with like Vibes and the boys last time.
And I know, so I get the argument both ways, but I think it's worth at least the quick second guess and conversation of would it have made a difference? I ultimately don't think it would have made a difference because I think the Europeans just played that well. Look, yeah. I don't think it would have made a difference. But it
goes back to like the whole thing where you pointed out those stats. If this was a PGA Tour event, we would have been like 22 under on one day. They would have been 36 under. They just played lights out, and we
played amazing.
And we did enough to give ourselves a shot to win, but not enough to where we were truly in control. We had to still rely on them to miss a couple things here and there, and they're only going to miss so much. We missed so much in the first few days. Oh fuck! What you just said something and then I went off. What were you finishing up on?
Would have made a difference.
Thank you. Something that would not have made a difference at all, and that's why I teased it earlier. Was let's finally get into this envelope rule.
Yes. This all right, for the conversation
for the uninitiated. This, if you didn't watch or you didn't really kind of pay attention to this or you didn't know what happened in the Ryder Cup, there's this rule. Section 3 whatever the fuck it is, it's in the captain's agreement, and it says essentially at the beginning of the week or at some point they put a name in an envelope, and both captains put a name in an envelope and they seal it, and the whole point is if throughout the Ryder Cup somebody gets hurt, because you think about it, if you're injured you don't have to play the first 2 days, everybody has to play on Sunday, so if somebody is injured in those first 2 days and they can't go on Sunday, it's a gentleman's agreement to say, all right, cool. If you have a hurt soldier, we'll sacrifice one of ours. We'll split the point.
Right.
Now, people are out there going like, this is bullshit. It's stupid. It's not. This is one of those nuanced kind of gentleman's agreement rule, because you still have 11 other soldiers going out there who have got to do their job and they got to win. And you're not always going to be digging out of a 7-point hole, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
it only mattered because they were up by so much, because it only mattered because they were only 3.5 points, or 2.5 points away in the first place.
And so even if by the way, if a second person gets hurt, it's not, they don't just chip away at that. At that point, you have to just forfeit your match. We can't do this all day.
There's only one envelope, one name.
I don't want to change the envelope rule. I think it's a great rule. I think it's I think it's a great admission of this is more than just, win at all costs. It's not,
Mhm.
the fact that they do ties in the first place, some people think are awful. They're like the Ryder Cup. They should just go and play overtime. I'm like, "Nah, these guys are so damn good. They would literally die on the golf course." But
Right.
I think that envelope rule and the outrage over it right now is only because we lost. I think if we make
Exactly.
that comeback, nobody's talking about it. They're actually going to be talking about how cool it was that we were able to overcome it.
Yeah.
So stop picking these things and every time something happens, do we need to change this? Do we need to change that? No, the only thing that is going to change next time around are the teams and probably the captain. So let's go there. What about the cries out there for does Keegan deserve a second chance?
So yeah, real fast on the envelope rule. I do agree
Oh
with
yeah,
you.
what is your take?
Yeah, I do agree with you on the envelope rule because I think everyone's argument is that we would have won, and one mathematically it would we listed the three different scenarios where it still wouldn't have mattered. We still would have lost. I think I agree. I think it's in the spirit of the game. It's in the history of the game. Like that's that gentleman agreement. It makes sense. And also the last time that it was enacted was how many wasn't it like
It was
2003 or 1993 or something? Was it? It was a while ago, right?
it
Or
was in
was
the
it
early
2000?
90s. It was in the early
Early
90s.
90s.
Lanny Watkins sat out.
Yeah, so like it just happens to happen to have happened this year. And yeah, the only reason why people care about it is because we lost and because Europe was so close in the end to the 14 points that they needed that it just made it that much closer for them by that half point. If it was a tie, you know, a tie match going into Sunday in that half point, like no one would have gave a shit about it because that half point, would have been very much surmountable to get to what we needed to win. So this is definitely just like 2020 vision. People looking back and looking for an excuse to be mad at something that they
2020 vision.
can bitch about wanting to change, and that's all it is. That's just today's culture. It's whatever. But the envelope rule should stay the way it
Hindsight's
is.
2020. Is that what you're going for?
That's what I was going for. Yeah, but I couldn't get the hindsight part. I couldn't remember the hindsight word, so I just went with 2020 vision.
All right.
But thank you for reading my mind there. What were you about to jump to though? You mentioned now that I got my envelope.
Captain
thoughts in.
Keegs. Does
Captain
do we go back to back with Keegs and give him another shot?
So I think so. I think he's deserved it. I think the way he led this team, everything he did leading up to it, the way he talked and handled himself out there, I think Keegan deserves another shot. I don't think it was the debacle that was Zach Johnson 2 years ago by any means. Like that was one that 100% we needed Zach Johnson to not do it again. I think Keegan deserves another chance. I think we also saw the benefit of having a back-to-back captain and Luke Donald for the European team. Like Luke Donald, he's got something going there. They pretty much brought back the same exact team as 2 years ago. So I would like to keep some consistency there. I know people are kind of clamoring for a Tiger captaincy at Adair Manor.
Too soon.
I agree.
I want Tiger on U.S. soil.
Agree. So that was exactly what I was going to say. I have 100% agree with that. I don't want Tiger over in Ireland. I
Two
want
dicks,
him.
one brain.
Yeah, there we go. That's one way to put it. I
right.
don't want him yet. I want Keegan to get another shot. And if he wins a road Ryder Cup in 2 years, if Keegan's the captain, they win, then hell, give him another shot after that. Like Tiger's gonna be there forever, able to be a captain. If we have
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. By the way, if we wake up tomorrow and Tiger is in a car accident or something, I'm blaming you.
That's fine. I get that. That's fine. But I'm just
Okay.
saying, I'm not gonna pump the brakes if we can get on a run with one captain for a little bit. I'm not gonna pump the brakes just to get Tiger in there. Like I know Tiger. We know what Tiger's gonna bring. The year that he brings it isn't gonna change.
All right. I say yes, bring him back. And here's why. You just nailed it. Give him another chance. We haven't really seen this back-to-back captaincy from the Americans. I was just going down the Ryder Cup wiki hole there. And the Europeans have a history of doing back-to-back. So we had Walter Hagen in the early going. I think he was the Ryder Cup captain for like 5 times in a row in the 5 out of the first 6 or something like that. But in the modern era, and I'd say modern era starting in maybe the 60s, 70s, or we'll say from the 80s on, because 79 was when it was integrated to Team Europe. Because in the 60s they had Tony Jacklin was Team Europe for like 4 Ryder Cups in a row. We had Arnold Palmer, I think, twice in that span as well. But starting in the modern era, the Europeans have had this. They had Bernard Longer a couple times. I think they've had multiple time captains. And so I think there's something about that continuity, that idea of, all right, I know what to expect. Give me a shot. Let me do things a little bit differently. So I'm kind of with it in that regard. I agree as well. No Tigers too soon. I do think that Phil Mickelson's going to change his tune one day, because I think that there will be listen, I think
I did see his comments.
I think, I officially am taking my name out of the running. I don't want to
I'm gonna enjoy being a fan for them, but no one was asking you, Phil.
I'm gonna go ahead and just say it right now that I would like to formally announce that I do not want to be considered for the Ryder Cup captaincy in 2027 at Adair Manor. I know. I just think there's too many other solid, qualified, get over it. I think that he might be a different dude in 10, 12 years. If let's say all of a sudden we go out somewhere out west and it's like his home territory, and all the stars are aligning, and hey, Phil, it's been long enough. Let's get back in. I could see it happening. So never say never. Do I think it should be anytime soon? No. He kind of he would be bad for the vibe. He's not right. He's not the figure that we would need right now.
Too many outside things with him is what that.
I think Kisner's on that list. Brant Snedeker's on that list. But I say give Captain Keegan another crack at it, and let's see if we can't get a little team camaraderie going together and get those 25 guys back together. PGA of America, give Captain the resources that he needs to go out there, try to make the team on his own. I mean, he was so close and still is, and he just saw what Justin Rose did, and he was out there thinking the whole time, what could have been. The 15-13 final score, or the 14-14 tie. The 15-13 final score is, I think, just as representative of how close that came. It's not that it was close, but it came pretty close to being it. So give Captain Keegan, let him run it back. And when I think we lost this thing?
When? I'll be curious. Yeah, when?
And I kind of mean this, and I kind of don't. When you say, how can we get better at this, the foursomes piece, the little things. No, guys, we're not going to introduce a new tournament format on the PGA Tour. That's just not going to happen. No, none of that stuff. And by the way, the alternate shot thing, it's not like it's really, I think the ball matters the most. And that's what Keegan said. It's the one piece of equipment they used the whole time. So the fact that they were ball in hand and they could switch out the ball if they wanted to, that was huge. But anyways.
That was big on Friday. That was huge.
These guys are just shot makers. It's kind of one of those things where the alternate shot, I don't know, it's nice when you get along with your partner, but then we've also seen people who are just weird and stone cold opposites, and it works. And they just go out there like robots, and Xander and Patrick Cantlay, it just melded together, and all right, just put it here and I'll put it there. And it's not that they are exactly the same. They're both just, I think that's what you need. You need ball strikers and scramblers. That's what you need for the alternate shot. But I saw a couple of interesting things about the captaincy, and somebody suggested maybe bringing in somebody who's not a golfer, but is definitely a coach to do, because this is a team setting. So maybe you bring in, Bill Belichick, or, somebody like that, or whoever, Nick Saban, bring in Nick Saban.
There was a lot of shots of Michael Jordan this week.
Bring in MJ, somebody who genuinely knows about team coordination and facilitation and can kind of see the board for that. Maybe I don't ever want to go that route, because I would argue for a golfer 10 times. I want Steve Stricker back out there again. Although they would never bring him back. I want him
to know how to talk to everybody and know what it feels like from there. You don't want that disconnect. That's the disconnect that it would be hard to overcome.
No, but I think we lost this Ryder Cup when we showed up to the gala dinner without ties. We showed up. And they've been doing this for a while now, because believe it or not, everybody else said the whole payment thing. If you looked even closer, Ryder Cuppers in the American side have been getting paid for 25 years or 20 years. And it's been the same. They get a couple $100,000 to donate to a charity of their choice, and they get a couple $100,000 to do with whatever they want. And almost every player ends up donating it, or putting it into their own, because it's like, here's $300,000 for you to put to another foundation, and then here's $200,000, and almost all of them have their own foundations that they put. It's that kind of deal. So the whole payment issue and those cheap shots that Luke Donald was putting out there, it's like, oh, shut up, dude.
They're not going and buying Lamborghinis and shit.
I didn't even mind. So they do this gala on Tuesday night of the Ryder Cup week, and the wives and the girlfriends are there. But then for the second or third Ryder Cup in a row, you had Bryson and Victor Hovland and Xander with nobody on their arm, and it was kind of funny.
Yep.
I don't even mind that they all showed up in these bright white, looked like Air Force Ones, just stunting on them fools. Because in 2026, if you watch ESPN, it's very much okay to wear a suit with sneakers. Like dress sneakers are a thing now. Like that's all over
wear
the
a
place.
hoodie under a suit jacket is the thing. Like it's a whole thing now.
See,
It's whole
you don't
style.
show up to the Ryder Cup though with a fucking hoodie on. You show up. This is a gentleman's game. You show up in a smart blazer, neatly pressed trousers and a shirt, a tie like a gentleman, and you do that. I genuinely think that right there, when they showed up, game time, and we showed up a little too loosey goosey, to little, hey man, this is New York. Welcome to New York. We've been waiting for this forever. Everybody showed up except for the Americans. They got lost a little early. And there's part of us in our DNA that has to get put into a corner before we're going to punch back. I think that's just kind of the American way.
There's something to that. Yes, I agree with that.
But we almost lulled ourselves to sleep. And if I had to hear Paul McGinley one more time talk about, oh, that's our strategy to get off to a fast start.
Yeah,
it's
like
important to get off to a fast. Thank you.
It's like when people used to say Bill Belichick purposely loses games in September so that they can work out the kinks and be ready for October. Like,
that was really big on the. We've got the data on that to prove it. Wait a minute, hold on just a second. You have data to confirm an assumption that we all know, which is if you get ahead early, you have a better chance of winning. That drove me nuts, man. I love that there was. I like what they did with Nota Begay and Nick Faldo. I love that they had partisan commenters in there. I think that's something that you're going to see more and more in sports. I think you're going to work.
Yeah, it worked great.
I thought it worked to the point where you might see this in the NFL, and now where you see like, all right, let's just have, let's have Jim Nantz out there doing his thing, and then we're going to get talented guys like Tony Romo. Let's say it's not Tony Romo, but let's just say it's what's his face? Brady Quinn, just some talented, maybe homer for a team where he's like, oh, Cleveland was good to me all those years. And so I would love to see more of that in other sports where you get a little more home team vibe, because that was cool to me. Noda and them pulling for themselves, and Paul McGinley, he is a unique character. He was a Ryder Cup captain himself, player. He admitted, he's like, I do consult for the team. And so he used we a lot.
I was just gonna say that he definitely said we, us, and you,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I was fine with that. I didn't find any issue with
that. The whole thing. Oh, you got to get ahead early. Jesus.
Yes, we know that's how any competition works.
So before we go any further, I do want. Let's see here, real quick. United States. Okay. What's the total here?
Safe in second. He stole a base. Is that what just happened? Fucking stolen base. Let's go. 2 outs, top of the ninth. Man on second.
It looks like.
Oh yeah, he's safe.
Before we all get all our panties in a wad over the Europeans. Now the Europeans have beaten us more at home than we've beaten them in their place in history. So I would definitely say we are in a European era of the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, they've pulled off the two away wins in recent history at Medina and now here.
But I will say that we're still ahead all time. 45 out of the 45 matches, we 27, 16 and 2. So scoreboard is all I'm going to say to that shit.
But it's definitely, like you said, it's definitely a European era.
Of course, because ever since 1979, when we integrated with the Europeans, before it was just Great Britain and Ireland. And if you look at history, the Ryder Cup got to a point where I think we won like 9 in a row or something like that. And they were almost talking about just ditching it, being like, is this even worth it anymore? And I go back to Patrick Cantlay and his damn analogy about gin. You play this long, you play this long enough, and this is just going to level out. I think it's just going to level out around 50% here, especially now that we got the Europeans. Last question for you: in the future Ryder Cup scenarios, is there a course now that you've been in this game a couple of years now? We've done this. Is there a course that you would like to see? And I don't care how smart or whatever, just in your knowledge of the game now and what you've been watching and where you've seen these guys play. Is there a course you'd like to see them host a Ryder Cup?
I don't know, honestly. There's just too many to choose from. Because I'm torn between wanting it to be really challenging and wanting it to be like what it was this week. Like I'm like torn between that, because like some of the first ones that jump to mind are like Aaron Hills or like these ones that are like, extreme in one direction or the other. So I have no fucking clue, dude. There's too many courses. That's an overwhelming question for someone with my brain.
Well, you know what my answer is. I would love to see a Ryder Cup at TPC Sawgrass.
Right.
I think if the PGA of America and the PGA Tour could ever get together on that one, the
Mhm.
venue, everything, it would be
The drama on 17.
Yeah, and it's not unheard of to have tournaments at twice in one year, and there's enough time between March and September to get the course ready for a Ryder Cup.
Oh, for sure.
I think that would be at the top of my list, both for the personal reasons and for the fact that that's just a venue that is ripe for those big crowds. Speaking of, again, once again, shout out to the American crowds for being loud. I think that all the pearl clutching about how this is the players' fault. They asked for chaos and this is what they got. No, it was loud. It was rowdy. There was a bunch of buttheads who, unfortunately, here's my other thing. How many other courses, how many other matches were going on? Did the production truck have to stay focused on the match where all the drama was? So who's really like, this is kind of where I get kind of pissed off, where we go, oh, we're so horrible.
So a lot of the coverage. So this was Saturday though. So Saturday,
and I mean,
was
I'm not one of them. I love the drama, but I'm saying don't then on the tail end of it just say, yeah, that's sports. Again, not excusing it, but to that point, we do tend to point the camera where the stuff that we're chastising and saying isn't good is.
Right. So I will say, the Friday coverage was a bit more focused on like featured groups, not so much like overall broadcast. But obviously Saturday and Sunday was NBC like full day. So I guess that goes out the window, because I could understand it on.
Well, Friday they were on USA. They were on USA Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But there was just no drama like that. It was just ass whooping. It was Bryson drove the green almost, and then from there we just lost.
I forgot USA covered it Friday. That's right. Okay. In other news, the Sox are now up 3-1, the RBI double. So still a man on second, 2 outs, top of the ninth.
So we're going to be landing this plane, and then we're going to put it in the hangar for a little bit. Make sure you tune in. If you're not already following at The Real Mr. Mallard on all the platforms, he is going to be with you throughout football season. At This Buds For You is going to be coming back sometime in 2025. We got the new house, the interns in kindergarten. We got dance coming up, PTA and shit like that. But in the meantime, I know we're not landing it yet. I will say that this Ryder Cup, I'm going to say it for the last time. Ryder Cup 2025. It's not an all-timer for me, but I don't think it's a forgettable Ryder Cup like we've had in the past. Some of the losses become so like, bleh. We'll never forget about the Miracle of Medina. That really was a gut check for us. That's when we blew our 10-6 lead after the 1999 10-6 lead that they blew. And now here's the other thing. They almost blew this. Celebrate away. You still won. But deep down inside, that's what we needed. It's kind of like when Friday came to an end and we were just getting our teeth kicked in. And I was like, God, we just need something. And Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele came through in the very end of the day and gave us a point. And I was like, that's all we need. Like, you can't have that first group get the point and then everybody just get kicked in afterwards. And so I think on the grand scale of things, this wasn't as ugly as when we did the whole, we have to overhaul the Ryder Cup and we need to get a committee together to examine this, that, and the other. Nah, man, we fell short. And it could have been just as simple as we fucked up on the course setup. Had we set it up in a different way, and maybe our ball strikers would have shined, but when it turned into just a dart throwing contest, hey, they hit more bullseyes than we did, and that's how the cookie crumbles.
I'm fine with that. That makes sense. And speaking of the hiatus, if you want the football coverage, you can find me on TSS Fantasy. Also, my DFS lineup scored over 190 points this past week. So if you played that, you probably won some damn money. And my rankings are on fantasypros.com as well. So you can get those at week 3. I was ranked 25th out of all of Fantasy Pros. So get on that, get my rankings. And it's football season. We're gonna be back maybe towards the holidays, give you a little season recap, and then TGL's right around the corner, starting a little earlier this year. I think it's December 28th. I believe, if I remember correctly, December 28th, we get TGL back. So we're going to be talking that. Going to be watching that like crazy. Big fan. So we thank you for joining us for season 4. Always go Team USA. Fuck Europe. And we love you guys. This is Divots and Pivots. Stay classy.